All right, good evening from Philadelphia, guys. I'm sitting right in front of City Hall, Philadelphia, which is like one of the first city halls built in this country. So before I begin this video, I really want to thank everybody who subscribed to my channel, liked my videos, and commented on my videos. I truly appreciate it. I wasn't expecting such a response from my very first video, but it was very good. Most of the feedback I got was very positive, so that is very encouraging. It helps me keeps going. So thank you very much. Please continue to subscribe, like, and comment on my videos. So today I want to talk about a few things that I really like about India. These are things that I started noticing about India once I started, really paying attention to what is going on in the world and in the United States particularly. A few of these you probably already know. Some might be something new, but I do want to talk about it. So I'll begin with one of the most, probably most popular cliches about India, which is India's diversity. So a lot of, as you probably know, India is an extremely diverse country, right? Like we have something like 22 official languages, various religions, almost all the major religions in the world. Then we have even among the religions there are tremendous diversity. Even if you take Islam, you have a huge Sunni Muslim population and Shia population, and various versions of I would say versions of Islam that is very unique to India. Same holds good for Hinduism as well. I am from Trivandrum, and a Hindu from Trivandrum is quite different from even the northern part of Kerala, like the Hindus from Calicut area, for example. And then there's a huge difference between Hindus in the south and, for example, in a state like Gujarat or Uttar Pradesh. So it's a very diverse nation. So when I was young, it's very common to get up in the morning, read the newspaper, and you will see headlines like Hindu-Muslim fight in, so and so place. There used to be Hindu-Muslim fights even in South India, like in Trivandrum. I'm familiar with a few, rioting there. In Tamil Nadu, there was a lot of caste-based rioting that was going on in the 80s. But India seems to have quietened down and is really gelling, which is something I really, really like about India. There are still differences, there are still issues that we need to sort out, but for the most part, India is headed in the right direction. On the other hand, if you look at the West, particularly the United States, it is going in the opposite direction. There is a lot of division in society, mostly along political lines, and some of these differences are very hard and very rigid, and I don't believe that these will be resolved anytime soon. So I do want to point out the diversity aspect of India as my first point. The second one is something that I began to realize about India and few other countries in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. I'm now a big believer in a sovereign nation. Sovereignty is a very important thing that when it comes to a nation. Like if you take the top 15 or 20 countries in the world, in my view there are only like maybe 3 or 4 that I would call really sovereign nations, and they are Russia, China, and India. And the West, to some extent, does not like the fact that these 3 countries are like independent. They are not. The West is unable to like control them like they initially thought they could. So even among the 3, I would say India is doing a fantastic job. Like if you look at Russia, it's a huge country. It's already a very advanced nation technologically. It's definitely a developed nation in my view. It has all the resources that it needs within its borders. So it's somewhat easy to be a sovereign nation. And I would say a similar thing for China also. if you look at purchasing power parity, it is the largest economy in the world. In terms of strict dollars, it is like the second largest economy in the world. It is a manufacturing superpower. And even in new and emerging technologies, it's no longer a country that is copying what the rest of the world did. It is a very strong innovator and a creator nation. So it's somewhat easier. I mean, it's somewhat easier for China and Russia to be sovereign, but India is still not there. India is still growing. India has still a long way to go, which is fine. But India has shown that it is willing to stand on its own. So sovereignty means, having a clear a boundary, having certain population, and a nation that is having a strong control over its internal and external policies. Okay, so that's my second point about India that I really like. The third thing that I truly appreciate about India these days is the fact that Indian society is willing to say no. In America and most of the West, we call it the liberal world order, right? So liberalism is fine. Like, I don't have anything against liberalism, but one of the weak points of liberalism as a philosophy is that it's kind of unable to say no to certain things. Um, you know, so it's one of the problems of a very philosophy based culture and a civilization. Whereas if you look at India, there is a tremendous openness and liberalism in Indian society, but Indian society is also willing to draw boundaries. If I ask a question to an Indian whether you like open borders or not, even the most liberal Indian would immediately say, yeah, borders are very important. We have to have strict control over who is coming into the country and who is leaving the country. Whereas that's not the case in many Western nations. Like, a lot of young people don't even these days believe in that a nation should have boundary. Anybody can come in and do whatever they want. This is a big issue for the United States. It's known worldwide for its the issues that it has with its borders, but it's also true for Western Europe. So you at one point when this happens, you lose your identity as a nation. So this ability to say no is also true in other cases. Like, for example, you can be a perfectly open-minded person, but if somebody says, hey, can men participate in women's sports, I would say even most Indians will say no, that's not something that is acceptable. But even a question like that is very much debated in the West. So I kind of like the fact that the Indian society is leaning on its civilization and the thousands of years of knowledge and experience that it has acquired, and is confidently able to push back on such things. So that's my third point. The fourth one is democracy itself. I used to be a big fan of the presidential form of system that the United States has, but then when I observe it closely, like, I do see a lot of weaknesses in this system. I like the parliamentary system, and the fact that in India you have hundreds of political parties. Even the BJP, which is the current ruling party in India, kind of controls only 12 states, even though there are 28 states in India. And even within these states, there are so many differences, so it's not very monolithic. And for all practical matters, I believe BJP has only control of one southern state. So India has tremendous political diversity that America lacks. America is pretty much a two-party system. And even though there's nothing in the constitution that says that US can have only two party, but what has happened is both these parties have gotten together and eliminated all the other parties. And even if there is a third party that wants to contest elections, these two parties will make it very difficult for them to contest. They will prevent the candidates of the third party from appearing in debates and getting funds and so on. So America, for all practical matters, is a two-party system, and people do not have a choice. Both these parties act kind of the same. When they run for elections, they try to show differences between them, but in reality there is not a lot of difference between these two political parties, and the people in the US feel they do not have control over their own party. So whereas on the other hand, in India, I feel that when people do go to vote, their vote matters a lot more than what it does in the United States. So the fifth point is, which is very interesting, is a contradiction when I think of India. So internally, India is very chaotic. And even people who complain about the lack of law and order in India continuously break laws. We all jump traffic lights and make illegal turns when the cop is not looking and things like that. And this applies to all major areas. There is a certain lawlessness in India, and to some extent I like it. I mean, there is a certain freedom, but on the other hand, United States is not like that. United States has a strong sense of law and order. You have to pay attention when you are driving, and all other activities you have to pay attention to the law. However, what is interesting about it is India, for example, externally is a very law-abiding country. India tries its level best to follow international rules and regulations, and always tries to do things by the book. The West is totally different. The West has created all these laws. West constantly speaks about the rules-based world order. All the rules have been created by them, and as they are creating these rules, they know fully well they are not going to follow these rules. So externally speaking, the rules-based India has a certain shine to it. I like that. I like the fact that I come from a country that is respected internationally for being a country that is part of the solution, not part of the problem like what most Western countries are. So the last point I want to mention is the fact that India, for most part, since its independence, has tried its level best to be a peaceful nation. So even though the threats are very real, right? Like, for example, India has serious issues with border issues with China, with Pakistan, but it has shown tremendous restraint. I always wonder, if a country like if United States had a border with a country that is, like Pakistan, which is, which is a country that is like, at least the claims are being made that it is a sponsor of terrorism and things like that. So I always wonder how United States would have treated a country like that. But India has been very patient. I mean, India has shown that it is, it has shown aggression recently, at least in the last 5 or 6 years. It has done some aggressive moves towards its neighbors, but for the most part, whether it is the wars in Europe or in the Middle East, India is always trying to find a negotiated, peaceful solution, rather than just be like a country that is always for wars. So that is something I really like. So I forgot to mention something when I was talking about sovereignty. Like, if you take Western Europe, for example, So Western Europe, they are very powerful nations, right? Like you have UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain. But in my view, none of these countries are really sovereign. Because if you take Italy, Italy has a government, but then on top of the Italian government, there is a European parliament. So then you have to ask the questions: are Italians really sovereign people? Because they cannot decide what they want to do. They can decide on very small issues, but on the all major issues, it has to go through the EU Parliament. And the same for other organizations like NATO, for example. During this war in Iran, there are some European NATO nations that have said, "Oh, you can't use our bases." But then, is that really true? Like, once you are in NATO, then you are part and parcel of what other NATO nations like the United States is doing. So you completely lost control of your own boundary. For example, the UK Prime Minister initially kept saying that he doesn't want anything to do with this war and he won't support this war. But then if you notice, one of the planes, American planes that was shot down in Iran, it actually took off from an RAF base in the United Kingdom. So that's the thing about sovereignty, right? I would say out of all this, the one point I really like about India, it is showing its independence. It is willing to work with all sorts of countries, but at the same time willing to show that it is standing on its own. I'm not saying in terms of sovereignty it has reached its full potential. There is still a long way to go. India is still getting swayed by other nations on certain issues. Like recently, I read an article that I think it's the RSS chief or somebody who said that India agreed to not buy oil from Russia and Iran. I was a little surprised when I heard him say that, because he's the person in the know, so he would know what is happening. And I was surprised that India agreed to do something like that. We should always buy oil from the country that we like, and not be dictated by somebody else. So I mean, it's easy to say that because there are certain types of sanctions against Iran that will prevent us from buying oil. But in general, as a overarching philosophy, I think we should buy oil from whoever we want. So those are the things I want to talk about today. As I said in the beginning of my little speech here, please continue to subscribe, hit the like button, comment on my videos, and we'll go from there. So it was nice talking to you today, and I will see you in the next video soon. Bye.